Yes. Could you show him this document, please? These are not tendered, Mr. Chairman. You were the Secretary General at this time, 11th April 2012.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Is that a check made out to you from the National Petroleum Company Limited, made out to the Secretary General Office of the President?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you confirm that this is in respect of the 10 million requested for the rehabilitation of the prisons?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened to the check?
As I recalled and I said the last time, it was handed over to the former president. When the check arrived, we informed him that the check is here with us, and we forwarded to him. So what I said the last time is what happened to that check, to that fund. It's something that I wasn't sure, and I said that if probably the bank was visited, they could provide, details of how that check, ended up, and that is what I said the last time I was asked. But this was shown to me the other time.
The check was shown to you?
This thing, yeah, was shown to me.
I don't think so.
If I was not seen, maybe probably at the investigation.
You
but
said
I remember the check being received. And I remember showing it, telling it to the president, showing it and handing over to him that the check, is here as requested.
You might have said it to the investigators, but not to the commissioners.
That's what I said.
Was there an
investigation?
Okay, all right. Was there an account for the Office of the Secretary General at Access Bank or any other bank?
Account.
Yes. Did you have an operating account?
No, that I'm aware of.
So where would this check have been cashed? Because it's made out to Secretary General Office of the President.
Yes, it's made out to. It must be cashed, at or through the Access Bank, the bank that issued it. Nowhere else. Just the bank, Access Bank. It could have.
So
that's why I said that Access Bank could have helped us with the check.
In due course, but you should help us first. This check is made out to you at your office, as Secretary General Office of the President. You said you seem to be saying that the check was given to the ex-president. But it seems to me this check, even if it's given to the ex-president, would not serve any purpose, at least serve him any purpose, because the check made out to your office. So if it was cashed, I assume your office should be able to tell us where it was presented and where it was cashed. But I take the note of the fact that it's some years back. You may not remember. Are you saying this is all you remember, receiving the check and doing what it is? I want you to be clear. Mm-hmm. When you received the check, what did you do with it?
As I said, when I received the check, I went and informed the president that the check was around. And I remember it was in a folder that I laid it to, there for him. I cannot recall, later on what happened. And that, like I said, that would have refreshed my memory. But yes, the check was addressed or written or paid to the Secretary General Office of the President. And there are many ways in which probably a check could be cashed.
Yes, could you enlighten us?
Be it endorsed at the back and then send somebody to the bank,
but this is a cross-check. It cannot be cashed over the counter. It has to be paid into an account.
It has to be paid into an account.
It has to be paid into an account.
And definitely I cannot recall, exactly what happened. And I would wish that, the bank, help us in, trying to locate that check and how it was cashed, If it was cashed, the funds were given to the president.
Can you look at the second page?
Yes, ma'am.
There's a transaction ticket form.
Yes.
Does it have any meaning for you?
It's just an indication of, what is written on the check.
All right. If that is all, we'll move on to the next subject. Mr. Chairman, may I apply to have the check admitted to form part of? Can you collect the exhibit, please? MS 54. As we try to locate the funds, or how the funds were dealt with.
make the Gambian National Petroleum Company check number 00284314 dated 11th April 2012 for $10 million payable to Secretary General, and Access Bank Manager's check number 00025553 dated 19th April 2012 for $10 million payable to Secretary General. Admitted, Mark MS6. Counsel, unless this witness is able to explain why the double checks, one being a GNPTC check for the same amount and the other a banker's check of Access Bank for the same amount, unless an explanation can be made by this witness, Access Bank must be subpoenaed to give the proper explanation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The summons was sent to Access Bank because we don't have an account indicating such a payment from Access Bank, although they were asked to produce all the accounts that they had.
Excellent.
They've been summoned. Mr. Ba, we'll now move on to an entirely new subject, which is Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation. I'm sure you are aware that various loans were taken from Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation during your tenure as Secretary General Office of the President. And these loans, they have testified that all these loans actually, except those that were in connection to the Ministry of Finance, the loans were made on the directives of the Office of the President. I'm going to show you various exhibits, and we'll start with SC-17. Could you give the witness SC-17, please? Mr. Ba, as you can see, SC-17, the first document in SC-17 is a letter dated 17 May 2011, signed by yourself, requesting and stating that I'm directed to request for a loan facility from your corporation to finance very urgent state matters. The amount requested is $1 million, and it should be disbursed as follows: $500,000 cash, and 500,000 bankers check in the name of Government of Japan. The testimony before this commission is that the $500,000 cash was handed over to yourself in 2 installments, and the second 500,000 bankers check in the name of the Government of Japan was subsequently cancelled, and the money was then requested by your office for unknown purposes. Could you kindly explain what this transaction is about?
Very well, thank you. This is indeed a letter that I wrote and signed by myself, as indicated, requesting for a loan facility from the Social Security Housing and Finance Corporation. There were 2 items that were requested. One, I said 500,000.
Could we start with the first one? You asked for $1 million, the $500,000 cash. Did you receive it?
Yes, as indicated through the documents here, received from former MD, Mr. Tumbul Danso, in 2 installments, One was 480,000 and the other was 20,000.
You are referring to the receipts.
Yes,
One dated 17 March 2011 and the second dated 18 March 2011.
yes, ma'am.
What was the purpose of this money?
I later found out that it was meant for the Ghanaian government.
The 500,000.
Yes.
The Ghanaian government. We are listening, Mr. Ba.
Sorry?
For what purpose?
I wasn't, too sure, but later I found out that it was probably about those Ghanaian citizens that were that lost their lives here in the Gambia.
Do you have documents to that effect?
To that what?
Do you have any documents? I see you are looking at your file.
Yes,
Do you have
I
documents to that
had.
effect?
No, I'm looking for a document that when this cash was being handed over to a lady, a person of Dr. Bashirat Nias, for onward transmission to the Ghanaian government.
Okay, we'll look for the document first, and we will, of course, require that you elaborate on this. $500,000 is a lot of money. What is that document?
I have a document acknowledging receipt of this 500,000 US dollars from the Secretary General on behalf of the Gambia, on behalf of the government of the Republic of the Gambia.
Where is the document emanating from?
From the Office of the Secretary General, Office of the President. Office of the Secretary General, Office of the President.
In Gambia?
In the Gambia, yes.
Sorry, I don't understand. Who is acknowledging receipt?
Dr. Basirat Nias was somebody that was sent to us from the President, from his office, and came down to our office, to my office.
By President, you mean the President of, the ex-President of
Gambia? The
former
President of the Gambia.
Yes, you have to be clear, because you've brought in a Ghanaian dimension. So we just want to be clear. Yes.
No, of course it is.
Okay.
We are dealing here. My office is in the Gambia, it's not in Ghana. So with the $500,000 that was received from Social Security from Mr. Danso, which I had acknowledged receipt and which are documented, was meant, as I said, for, later on I found out that it was meant for the Ghanaian government.
How did you find out? How did you find out? Because you are giving us a receipt which is on your own letterhead, but signed by somebody you said who is
signed
Ghanaian.
by not only somebody, but myself, a witness, and also the person who received it.
Okay, maybe you are not being clear, so we need to follow your narrative. Could you explain, maybe in your own words, without any interruptions from me? Since we are in Gambia. Yes.
When I was instructed to write the letter to Social Security and request for these funds, one was for a cash amount of 500,000, and the other was a banker's check, in favor of the government of Japan. Okay, we were dealing with the first one, that's 500,000 US dollars, cash that was, later provided by Social Security. When the funds came and we informed, the president at that time, there was a guest, or there were guests, of the president, and later on, when we informed that the money was, the funds were available, this person was sent to my office, from the office of the president to the protocols office and then to my office, and for this amount to be given to her.
And the her is the,
Dr. Bashirat Nias.
do you know what her position is in Ghana?
I do not know, but probably was in between the two countries, the two governments. Was negotiating or was working with the two governments.
Who is she?
I don't know really who she was, as per what, she does, as work or as a living. But I knew that, she was guest to the president.
Who introduced her to you?
The president.
The
asked
president?
her to come over, yes, through the protocol office to come to my office so that we can hand over and do the presentation and the receipt, acknowledgement of receipt.
Who was the protocol who was involved?
That was the chief of protocol at the time was Mr. Sise, Alaji Usman Sise.
Mr. Alhaji Usman Sise.
Yeah. And he witnessed to the handing over.
Now, you did indicate, what did you say you thought the purpose of the funds were for? Just, I don't want to put words in your mouth, yes.
No, I would not, I would not let you do that. As I said, those funds were for the Ghanaian government. Later on that I found out, there were some Ghanaians that were said to be, to lost their lives in the country. So I don't know what happened, but at the end of the day, it was the president deemed it necessary or relevant or important to, provide some sort of compensation to their families, and this was meant for that.
Okay. You said later on you found out. From whom did you find out the purpose of the funds?
It was probably in the president's office.
Yes, from whom? That was my question.
I understand your question, but sometimes, it's just, difficult to say exactly, the words or where they came from.
No,
but
I'm not
it's probably
asking for
the
the
president
words.
that,
Mr. Ba,
Yes.
I'm not asking for the words. I just want you to confirm from whom you found out that what this money is meant for.
During a meeting at the president's office, I overheard that it was meant for the Ghanaian government, for the families of those that were reportedly lost their lives in this country.
In a meeting with who? Who was at the meeting?
I cannot recall all, but I know that I was there, the president was there.
All right, can we see the document?
Sure.
Maybe you should read it, please, also first.
Acknowledgement of receipt. I, the undersigned Dr. Basirat Nias, hereby acknowledge receipt of the amount of US $500,000 cash from the Secretary General and Head of the Civil Service, Dr. Njogu Elba, given on behalf of the government of the Republic of the Gambia. Received by Dr. Basirat Nias and the signature, given by Dr. Njogu Elba, signature, in the presence of Alhaji Osise, and signed also.
Can I have the document? Mr. Chairman, I'm applying to have this document admitted as a document from the witness in proof of the purpose of the 500,000 cash that he received from Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation.
acknowledgement receipt of 500,000 United States dollars cash dated 1st March 2011 by Dr. Basirat Nyas from Dr. Njogu Ba on behalf of the government of the Gambia. Admitted Mark SC 29.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Ba, in that bundle that you are holding, which is Exhibit SC 17, there is a letter. It's rather dark, not quite clear. We are trying to get a much clearer copy. But it's an in confidence mail PRC 473 volume 1, which is a letter from the Office of the Secretary General, Office of the President, sorry, and signed on behalf of the Secretary General on the 6th May 2011. On the 6th May 2011, you were the Secretary General. Is that correct?
6th of May.
2011, yes.
No, ma'am.
You were not?
No,
When did
I
you
wasn't
move?
not. I was Minister of Works, March 29, 2011. I came back on December 13, 2011.
What date in March? Sorry, repeat the date in March.
March 29,
29.
2011. Minister of Works.
Okay.
Of
Now, did you know that the 500,000 to the government of Japan, was it cancelled whilst you were there? The second 500,000 on your request did not go to the government of Japan, it seems. So it was cancelled.
I believe that it was cancelled. I'm just trying to find out the date a request was made for the cancellation. So, but I know that
It was cancelled.
I know that it was cancelled. That other part.
Okay.
It
Why
is-
was it cancelled, by the way?
I
you know?
I didn't know.
All right. Are you aware that the 500,000 was requested for by the Office of the President?
No, until
not.
I was at the the Invest when I was shown that document. But I wasn't aware that it was requested for another purpose.
That's fine. Who took over from you as Secretary General? If you remember. If you don't remember, we move on.
Just going back and forth, I don't remember who.
Okay. Very well. Do
Was it?
you remember Abdullah TV Jara?
Abdullah Jara, yes, I do remember.
What office did he hold
He was a permanent secretary, I believe.
at the time?
Yeah, but not during my time as SG.
All right. Can you retrieve Exhibit SC 17? By the way, Mr. Ba, did you have, apart from that occasion, did you have any other dealings with this Basirat Nyas, Dr. Basirat Nyas?
Any other dealings?
Yes.
No, ma'am.
Any other transaction? Any other? Okay.
No, ma'am.
Did you heard from her after this, or heard about her after this?
No, she was dealing directly with the president.
She was dealing directly with the
former
president.
president. Yes.
In relation to this matter or in relation
believe-
to other matters as well?
I don't know. I believe that this matter, but I know that we were not dealing. That was the first time I saw her, and that was the last time. But I knew that she was representing the president. Like in between him and the government of Ghana.
All right.
But
Who else was involved in what appears to have been some sort of negotiation between the Gambia and Ghana?
I cannot recall. I cannot recall who else was.
Was there any agreement?
Any agreement?
Written agreement, yes.
Not that I'm aware of. Was government
Can't hear, please speak loud.
louder? Yeah, not that I'm aware of.
Was this matter handled at the Office of the President? Was External Affairs involved? You were the Secretary General.
Yeah, you're the Secretary General, but
And this seemed to have been a bilateral matter. It was handled
there
as
were
a-
there were some things or some matters that we were not involved or we were not aware of. There are certain things, certain issues that he take it at his own level and then deal with it and then probably instruct us to to do whatever. But probably there might have been some bilateral talks in between, but I'm not too sure.
You'd never seen anything in writing about this matter?
No, that I've recalled. No, I have not. There were probably when these citizens, foreign nationals, lost their lives. Probably there were correspondences, to that effect.
We want facts. If you're saying you are not aware, then we will not
Very
speculate.
well, then I will
we will
not-
not,
I
we
will
will not
not-
speculate. Now, Mr. Ba, 500,000 from Social Security. It says a loan facility. Was it intended to be paid? And if it was intended to be paid, how was it intended to be paid?
I believe it was intended to be paid, and it was to be paid through the Ministry of Finance, as I was informed, as I was told, when I was being asked to write the request.
Was there any follow-up from your office for the Ministry of Finance to pay the Social Security, knowing that this pension funds?
Probably yes. During cabinet meetings, it may come up, and then whoever the minister was would be reminded of those loans.
Mr. Ba, I want you to speak to your knowledge. I don't want probably or it may. Did you pursue? Did you follow up to ensure that Social Security was paid? If you did not, let us know. If
No,
you did, tell us what you did.
I did follow on general loans, of Social Security given to Gambia government. Yes.
At this time, was the ex-president the minister responsible for Social Security?
I cannot recall.
You cannot recall.
Yeah.
The testimony of Social Security was at some point they were moved from the Ministry of Finance to your office. Was it during the time you were Secretary General?
I cannot recall because there were many institutions, that were brought under the purview of the Office of the President, on various occasions. And like I said, I've been, going back and forth, so I cannot, recall exactly, what happened when and when one institution was moved to the office. But yes, I remember that Social Security was once under the purview of the Office of the President.
You'd have to speak up.
GPA and,
You're saying you remember?
I said, yes, I recall that, at some point, Social Security was under the purview of the Office of the President.
Whilst you were Secretary General?
I do not know exactly.
All right. Can you give the witness exhibit SC20, please? Mr. Ba, this is another request dated 27th September 2012, written by you, requesting for a loan facility for the implementation of RAMS for Tobaski 2012, and the loan is 15 million. And it said the loan is repayable within 3 months after the complete sale of the rams. This was written by you?
Yes, ma'am.
On what basis were you requesting Social Security to finance a Tobaski rams purchase?
On what basis?
Yes.
It was a request or an instruction from the former president to request this loan, because I said, according to him, Tobaski was fast approaching, and they were not readily affordable, to the general public, and he wanted to intervene and then get those rams solely to those low-income earners. And later on, after the sales were done, we would refund the funds back to Social Security. That was what he told me when he asked me to write to Social Security.
Your letter didn't say you were directed, but it says you have the honor to request on behalf of the Office of the President. Implicit in such a statement is that the Office of the President could borrow money for purchase of rams for Tobaski. Did you think the Office of the President could do that?
The Office of the President?
It could borrow money to buy rams to sell to the public?
Well, it wouldn't sound proper.
Did it sound proper at the time?
Did it sound proper at the time? No, but there were justifications that were proffered, and that is they wanted to help, civil servants. They wanted to help the low-income earners, to be able to purchase these rams. And at the end of the day, those funds would be refunded. So,
was this the first time that you were involved in ram purchase for sale?
You mean the office?
Yes.
Probably more than this time.
Sorry?
Probably more than this time, but I'm aware of this one that I wrote.
I'm talking about you. Was this the first time you were involved in the purchase of rams for sale?
As a person? As the
Secretary
General? I cannot recall if there was any other than this one.
Was it a routine matter every year, purchase rams for sale?
For him, yes. But, to request funds, I do not think it was routine. Sometimes he uses his own means or his own ways of getting rams. We just know that he brought in some rams, for sale.
Was there a written minute to you?
Was there?
Written instructions to you on this matter?
I was trying to inform you the other time that it is not always everything that that is written.
Was there written?
On this one?
Yes.
No, it was an instruction that I had verbally with my notebook, taking note, and then went ahead and then took action on them.
Now, the letter says the loan is repayable within 3 months after the complete sale of the rams. We know it wasn't paid, and that's why it's a subject matter of this commission. Why wasn't it paid back? If it was something, even if it was improper, it was still done, why was the money not paid back?
The money was supposed to be paid. There was, I think, some officials that were responsible for receiving, these payments, which I believe he assigned. I do not know exactly, who were those people, But there were people that were responsible for the sales of the fund, of the rams, and then after that, that was supposed to be, retired, and then the payments, the refunds that was supposed to be done after the sales were done. And I'm not sure whether, that was done, and I'm not sure even after 3 months after that, I was still in office or not as SG. But I know that the funds were being collected. Those who were paying, people were paying.
Who were they paying to?
I do not recall exactly who, but I know the records office would be able to, the records office of the president, were aware of those payments, or was it, if we contact the records office, I'm sure. It's echoing.
Mr. Ba, this was pension funds, like the previous one, $500,000, or $1 million. These were pension funds, 15 million. There is nothing here indicated about some return to the fund. Obviously, it's a matter for concern that the office of the president would borrow money for to purchase rams. The purchase of rams is really not what is consistent with the role of the Secretary General or with the functions of that office. Did you advise? What was your position on this matter? If you had one, or you just had directives and you carried them out?
When the directive was given, you probably, there's a body language that may be shown, that may be expressed. And he explained.
Mr. Ba,
no, I'm telling
can
you,
we move away from maybes? I'm asking you a specific question. At the time, why did you get involved in a transaction which you yourself have described as improper?
He was the president. He was the president. He was, the executive who needed this, and told us to write. But he gave us a reason that he was doing this to help the civil servants, to help the low-income earners, and at the end it would be refunded. So we took him, for his words.
So what was that about body language?
Huh?
What was that about body language?
Before he explained that. Before he explained to me, what he wrote, why he was doing it.
For you, that is fine. And so long as he can say, this is what I want to do, and he has an explanation.
We will refund it, yes. If it was refunded, if it was to be refunded, yes. And I knew that it was going to help them. It was very difficult for certain people to buy rams due to the cost, the high cost that was, there. So if they could be provided with some help, some relief, and then later pay it in 3 months, then and would be refunded, and I would buy into that.
Mr. Ba, I assume you were long enough in government to know that that is not how government works.
There were many things, a lot of things that you would see that, it's probably you would have done it differently if it were you. But I wasn't in control. And we all knew what transpired and what was happening then. All of us knew what was happening. That we had somebody, a leader, who wanted his own way.
Right? And this is one of those occasions, one of those ways.
Yeah.
When you came back to the office of the president, and were you there, when you came back to the office of the president in 2013, end of 2012, I believe 2013, did you follow up on this matter, or did this matter fall within your radar at all?
I recall following up because, I felt sorry for Social Security. You know, my heart bled for Social Security. And there were occasions that I would have to convince the president that these people, you know, their books were in the red. And you always go to them, you know, for support or for help, you know, and they would, you know, the management would come to us, or the management would be called and they would explain, you know, really, you know, we have a problem. And I know that they have a problem. And I would go back to him and I said, I once even asked management of Social Security to provide me with their status, their statement of account and all that, you know, those that owe them and all that, just to go and present it to the president to show him that these people really need to be given a break, you know. So I wasn't happy, you know, with Social Security. I felt sorry for them. You know,
what was his reaction when you told him that they should be given a break?
He was made to believe that, you know, Social Security, they have money, and the money there, you know, could be used and then, you know, later, you know, returned to them. That was, you know, his belief, or somebody made him believe that, you know, that they have money, and if there is any need, he can take a loan or borrow from them and then later refund. The refund, that is the problem, whether it was done, you know, or not. So most of the time it wasn't refund. There were some that were, you know, some payments that were made. I had to convene a meeting, you know, asking Ministry of Finance, you know, to really, you know, work with, you know, the central bank, you know, to try and, you know, give back some of the loans, some of the money that was being spent, taken from Social Security. So we didn't just sit there, you know, we knew there was a problem. There were, you know, difficult circumstances that we were working under, but we felt sorry for them, and we tried ways and means of, you know, having the Ministry of Finance or the central bank to refund them.
You see, some of the concerns that I'm sure a lot of people would have is that these funds were not being contributed to by civil servants. Civil servants had a different pension regime. They had a different pension fund managed by the Accountant General. But here was the Office of the President spending pension funds of the rest of the workers who were by law compelled to contribute for their old age, for when they cannot do anything. And so it's a little difficult to process that the Office of the President would just have the perception that those funds can be spent. Why do you think the ex-president had this perception that he could just spend the funds from Social Security?
I cannot definitely say why, you know, he had those ideas or those thoughts, but I knew that I said he had a big appetite for money, and wherever he thinks, you know, he can get it from, he will go for it.
Right. Can you show?
Sorry. We'll have a break. We'll be back at 11:45.